Good morning, everyone. I believe our boardroom clock might be a few minutes slow, but my phone is showing 11:30, so we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you all for being here for our board briefing. Mr. Superintendent, do we have any public comments or presentations? Okay. Next, we will review the agenda items to give board members an opportunity to ask questions or make comments. We will need an executive session to discuss student matters and personnel. Any questions or comments about the agenda? Item 1, consideration of the approval of the minutes from the mid-month board meeting held on June 29th. Item 2, consideration of recommendation for employment of personnel. Item 3, consideration of recommendation for the release of personnel. Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Can you explain intervention tech? Is that new positions?
Intervention. Which one is that?
Item 2.
Item 2.
Or teacher's supposed to be intervention teacher.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a abbreviation. That's probably not the best abbreviation.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I'm like intervention tech.
Intervention teacher, yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
That's all.
We have one other support Gilmore.
Okay. New hire? Okay.
Deporia Gilmore going to radium as a 49% teacher. That item is going to be removed for the new hire.
Right. Item number 4, consideration of recommendation to accept the Success Grant 2. Item 5, consideration of recommendation to approve the following purchases. 5A, catalog discounts for art, instructional, and office supplies. 5B, paper supplies for school nutrition. 5C, catalog discounts for science supplies. And 5D, heavy equipment simulators. Item 6, consideration of recommendation to approve the following consent items: fundraising requests and out-of-state field trips. Item 7, financial reports. Item 8, any committee reports. And item 9, superintendent's report and proposed policy changes. Proposed policy BAB, school board governance. Proposed policy change IAB, educational accountability. Proposed policy change IHA, grading systems revised. And proposed policy change IHE, promotion and retention revision. Yes, ma'am.
I can share it later, but we have some out.
Okay.
We're not responsible for stuff here.
Okay.
Add that in the right place.
Okay.
We're not
Got it.
got to get into it. I know before we
Well, it's for discussion, so yes, so any comments that you have, you can share with us, we'll take those into consideration before.
Yeah, and the only thing it says the board aims to provide continued professional development for teachers. We set policies for you to set professional development. We don't.
Yeah, it's not saying that it's not saying that the board tells them what professional development to do. It says it encourages professional development of teachers.
And that's what needs, but see, everywhere else it said superintendent, you're the
Right.
stakeholder,
Okay.
you will provide it.
Yeah.
But this one actually says that we will provide continued professional development. We supply support, resources, policy.
Okay, so it's word choice.
Just a word choice.
Okay.
I want no teacher to come to him and say, "Do something."
I understand, yes, ma'am. What policy is that?
That is BAB,
BAB.
the school government,
Okay.
board governance.
Yeah.
That's all.
And just for the two of them are new policies dealing with the school board governance. As you know, our commitment is to move toward a high-performing school district, and we've set a foundation for that. We're on the way, making great progress prior to the pandemic. The pandemic we had a setback, but as you can tell by the academic data, we're poised to continue that upward movement that we experienced prior to the pandemic. But and this past chair, Finney, championed this as we were looking at the school board of excellence and exemplary school board status. Part of that is ensuring that we put structures in place to support school improvement and hold things accountable for that school improvement. And it starts with board policy as a foundation. And so school board policy BAB, which is school board governance, and school board policy IAB, education accountability, sets the framework for that accountability to take place. So accountability for the superintendent and for building leaders. So and then the other policies that are revised, you'll see a lot of strike throughs in red. Those are not being proposed to be deleted. Those are more regulatory and procedural. So what we're trying to do as we move forward is have policies to be more policy oriented, and then the part that you see in red will be revised and proposed as a board regulation or procedure that supplements that policy, instead of having the regulations in the policy itself. And so that's why it's for discussion. The board is okay with that. Then we bring the policy back for adoption. We'll also bring the associated regulations back for consideration as well. I think I spoke correctly on that. Past chair, and then of course Ms. Strother, as vice chair at the time, was a part of that. We took we did not push forward with this as we had initially intended because we were recovering from the pandemic, and we didn't want to put too much. At one time we were focusing on compassion, although we were putting the framework in place. Now for this time to codify this in policy, set framework for this board and boards to come, and administrations to come. That's all I have. Right. Yes, sir. Well. See, this is not for adoption right now. It's for discussion, and the board's okay with that framework. Then what we'll do when we bring the policy back for adoption, we'll have the associated regulations with the policies at that time, so that we won't be approving a policy that deletes the regulations right now. We'll bring the regulations back as regulations along with the policy. Right. Yes, sir. Right. Yes, sir.
At this time, are you ready to give your superintendent's report?
Sure. Yes, ma'am. Pretty lengthy today. First day of school readiness. We'll look at the year ahead and our strategic plan. Talk about leadership and advocacy millage rate. We typically get that much earlier. We did not get that till yesterday from the tax department, but we included that because we do have to advertise that. Then policy proposals that we just discussed, and then some announcements in the executive session for personnel if the board sees fit. So I'll go ahead and get started. Of course, our vision and our mission leads everything we do in our strategic plan. But first, we'll talk about readiness. As typically we do each year, we have our custodial department go through each school and do cleaning with the floors and classrooms. Our grounds crew, we don't have the grounds crew to keep the grounds as we engage. We contracted to do the grounds for the first day of school because typically we're on a rotation, and by the time we do on a 10-day rotation, we cut on day one. By the time we get to day 10, the ones on day one have already grown again. And so we typically hire, we outsource some of the grounds work, and I do walkthroughs, my MBWA management by walking around, and I for the most part I'm pleased with what I'm seeing. A couple of schools I was not, and we did some follow up. At Dougherty High, in particular, they had a parent night, and the air conditioner was not working in the auditorium, and it was burning up. They had a leak in the hallway, where the parents were coming in, and had trash cans catching the leak, water, and that was not what I wanted to represent. Parents of freshmen seeing doing it for the first time. So we expressed that concern, and we get that addressed. That was the biggest disappointment in terms of our readiness. We have a few issues in other places, but nothing to that level. But that happened on a Thursday. I was there that Friday, and those issues have been addressed. In terms of our strategic plan update, as you know, the 5 tenets or priorities in our strategic plan are early literacy, academic rigor and relevance, social and emotional wellness, our investment in human capital, and family and community engagement. And so for the next year, we're looking at early literacy and academic rigor and relevance. We're bringing that our 180-day commitment. We have 180 instructional days in a school year, and our commitment is to start teaching on day 1 with quality teaching and learning in every classroom, in every school, every day. And that's what we're committing to. We had a kickoff of that yesterday, although I was out of town for the Teacher Retirement System Board of Trustees meeting. Ms. Cheryl Smith and Dr. Emily Massey led that effort, and I understand it was a wonderful event. And not only was it a kickoff of that, but it was also professional learning for teachers yesterday and today. So we're pleased with that. With the year ahead, we're going to continue our focus on early literacy, expand that early literacy initiative, and keep it with the state law that was just approved with the science of reading. We also are looking forward to our pre-K expansion. We're moving into Morningside Annex this year, and then getting ready to have the former Sylvester Road Elementary School renovated for another expansion next year. And your pre-K across the state is not growing. But we made our case for the last 6 years, as you know, this has been our number 1 priority, that we invest in our pre-K more than we get from the state in terms of funding. And for every pre-K class that we have, we invest $8,000 to $10,000 over and above what we get. We pay our teachers on the teachers' pay scale, which is more than we get funded for. So I think that's one reason you see success in our program, that we invest in, because we understand the importance of our academic rigor and relevance, expanding our Instructional Coaches Academy, looking at math instruction support, leveraging artificial intelligence, because that's a resource that we need to get our arms around and leverage as best we can. And then, as we discussed previously, our CCA program, Pathway Alignment and Conditioning. We're in the process now working with the Southeast Regional Education Board to align the pathway offerings in our CCA program with the needs and public needs in our area. And so we will continue that this year, and we'll discontinue some pathways, introduce other pathways that are aligned with our area needs. This is just one. I was there at a meeting 2 days ago at 4CA, and this is the inside of our hydroponics greenhouse. As you know, part of our, you'll see the picture to the upper left. That's how it started about 3 weeks ago. And then you'll see the second picture in the middle. That's a spring mix of vegetables, of lettuce. And then you'll see romaine and other types of lettuce on the upper right. And then at the bottom picture is just a view of the greenhouse. As you can see, we just started, and the part you see in white behind the green, that's all room for increased capacity. So at full capacity, we'll be generating probably about between 700 and 800 heads of lettuce a week that we'll be able to harvest. And the intent is to provide some of the produce to the school system in the cafeterias, and others will go to local food banks, and others will be used for promotion for healthy choices for our students in terms of their families in terms of nutrition. And part of it will be used for an initiative that we talked about in terms of relevance. 4C on Flint, 4C on Front, which is a partnership between the Dougherty County School System, particularly the 4C Academy, and the City of Albany Downtown Development Authority, where they have a storefront on Front Street, where we'll have will amount to a farmer's market, and we'll have this produce available to those that want to purchase. We'll also have out parcels around the walls, booths for students who are in the entrepreneurial pathway, who want to promote their businesses, so they'll get a taste of entrepreneurship. And so we're really excited about that. We have hit some unexpected delays with moving forward with 4C on Flint. Nothing with the school system, nothing with the city. Everything is the commitment is still there. There have been some delays in the construction work, the way I understand it. So we're getting the building ready. So once that's done, we want it to start in August. Looks like it'll be closer to the end of the calendar year, beginning of the new calendar year. And I'll certainly follow up with the city manager on that progress when we meet for our monthly session. But I'm excited about this, excited about the garden, and it's going to be a tremendous asset to the community. As you know, this all started, the conversation started when Harvest closed on South Slapping, and it created a food desert in South Albany. And so there's a saying that comes from a college down in university down in South Florida. Mary McLeod Bethune and Bethune-Cookman, her motto is enter to learn and depart to serve. And so it's not about just learning in the classroom. It's about serving your community and making an impact. So this is the lesson that we're teaching our students. They can make an impact and learn at the same time while they serve the community. So we're proud of this project. It's going to be something to behold once it's complete, once it's in full swing. The other area, social and emotional wellness, you know, we have partnerships with Albany Area Primary Health Care, Inspire Behavioral Health, provide behavioral health counseling for our students. We have service contracts for pediatric and adolescent psychiatric services for Albany Area Primary Health Care, and through Fidelity Healthcare Group, we have mental and behavioral health therapy, the teletherapy, and in-person therapy. Also, we're funding these initiatives through awards we receive, grants we receive, $15 million over 5 years. It's going to provide 19 social work employees and student support employees, also professional development for our school-based employees, and identifying the signs of mental health issues with students, and our Project Prevent, which is focused on behavioral intervention and restorative practices at an elementary school. So these are things we're going to continue and expand over the next year with those initiatives. Our United Way partnership that we're going to look at, the anti-bullying campaign through a grant they received, and our mentoring program that we discussed earlier that we're advertising now for a student support services coordinator, and it's going to be deemed men under construction. We'll start with young men in our system because although they're about half of the population, they take a disproportionate number of percentage of our behavior cases and our tribunal cases. So we're going to start with character development program aimed at young men first, and will expand to our young ladies in the future years. But it's all going to be based on the quote from Frederick Douglass: "It's easier to build strong children than to repair broken men." So our commitment is to help build not only in the academic arena, but also in the character development and social development as well. And I appreciate it. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And then our investment in human capital. There's a saying that people are not your organization's greatest asset. The right people are. So we're committed to finding the right people and investing in the right people to make a difference in the lives of our children. And just as a summary, over the last 5 years, teacher salaries have increased over $9,200. We've had various pay increases for our custodians, school nutrition, office staff, and bus drivers. We've had a $2,500 minimum retention incentive over the past 2 years, and we've enhanced our benefits. We expanded our employee assistance program that provide increased counseling and therapy sessions for our employees, particularly after the pandemic when stress levels were so high across the country. We increased our board paid life insurance. We have board paid long-term disability insurance. We increased our match for our public school employee retirement service employees who don't participate in TRS. Also, we started our career planning and preparation through our Instructional Coaches Academy, aspiring leaders, aspiring principals, our teacher interns. Because of the teacher shortage that we have a teacher intern program where we get college students who are in their senior year, instead of doing student teaching for a semester, they serve as a teaching intern, paid intern, under the supervision of a master teacher for a year, with the hopes that they will continue employment with the school system after that. We have a parent teacher program through Albany State and Mercer, where parents with 4-year degrees with no certification can complete teacher prep program. The Generate program that we partnered with Mercer University, folks who have a bachelor's degree through our charter flexibility and teaching without a certification can get a master's of arts in teaching and a teacher credential certification through PSC at the same time. And that's a little different than the TAP program that we offer through our research, because when they complete this program in about 18 months, they'll have a master's degree. They'll be paid on the T5, which will include a pay increase. But this program is an exceptional program because it's all free to the participants. And so teachers get an opportunity to get a master's degree in the arts of teaching. Get paid at a higher level when they complete their program and have no out-of-pocket costs. A lot of it's a hybrid program, part online, part face-to-face. It may require one visit to Mercer campus in Macon a month, but they also get a $500 stipend to cover any costs associated with that travel. So it really is no cost to them other than the investment of time. And then we are looking at micro-credentialing through our partnership with our online training platform that we are able to create micro-credentialing pathways to provide professional development for teachers on demand 24/7. And so again, that's the board's commitment. We appreciate the board's commitment in investing in our employees because we know they make all the difference in the work. And as we look ahead at our investment in human capital, our career progression pathways and credentialing we just mentioned, our high potential employee development programs. We talk about the teacher pipeline. We talk about how difficult it is to attract teachers to the profession. If you look at the number of teachers we're currently serving, we're eligible for retirement in the next 5 years, and the number of graduates, with college graduates with teacher education degrees in the state of Georgia, we are not trying to overstate the point, but it's at a crisis level. We don't have people majoring in teacher ed for various reasons, and we have in about the next 5 years we're going to have a bubble of people who can retire, and we don't have people in the pipeline, in the traditional pipeline, to replace them. So that's why we're looking at parent teacher programs, teacher intern programs, the Generate program through Mercer, and other programs that we're looking at. And also, when you look at leaders in other critical positions, it's hard to find principals. We talk about that. Superintendent people are not going into leadership. Years ago, the state stopped paying for the additional pay for people who got leadership degrees unless they were in a leadership position. And we understood that at the time, but I think the unintended consequence is people began getting degrees in other areas and not leadership because they wouldn't get paid for the leadership degree unless they were in a leadership position. So, but that created a pipeline for potential leaders. And since they stopped taking those leadership development courses, educational leadership courses or programs, now we have a dearth of talent in that area. And we can't find enough leaders across the state to fill these positions. And as we know, everything rises and falls on leadership. And if we don't find good leaders, we're not going to be able to attract and retain good teachers. If we can't have attract and retain good teachers, we're not going to make the difference we need to make with our students in the classroom. So, as we look at developing our high potential employees, we're going to be very intentional about identifying them, investing in their development, and as Mr. Youngplug mentioned in a previous meeting, providing a supplement for them when they've been identified as a retention to have them in place when the time comes for them to ascend to a leadership role. And so we developed that program as well. Finding principles to talk, and it's but we're intentional about our efforts to develop our leaders internally, while we still try to attract those from outside as well. Then our enhanced employee benefits. DCS has a purchase program that we're going to unveil in the next month or so. Our improvement in our 401, our tax shelter annuity offers to our employees with reduced fees to participating in the Southern Education Retirement Consortium. And then we're proposing supplements. At one time, the school system provided a supplement for teachers who had national certification, and we stopped that years ago. So we're proposing we're going to reintroduce that, not just for teachers, but for every area that has a national certification. Those folks that get that will be entitled to a supplement, and including supplements for educators who get endorsements or credentials in critical fields like literacy. The final area is our family community engagement, and as you know, we've been very intentional about identifying grant opportunities, and over the last several years we've had grants totaling $34 million with an indirect cost revenue to the student system of over $2.25 million, which certainly helps in trying economic times. Then our Level Up initiative, we talked about trying to provide opportunities for families. We talk about career development and career preparation for students, but as we know, we can't just impact the student alone. We have to look at the entire family as part of our family and community engagement. So Level Up is a workforce development collaboration between the Dougherty County School System, Albany Tech, and other workforce development partners to provide job skills training for parents who are underskilled and who can't find employment because they lack the skills that are marketable. So our first foray into this was a partnership with Integrity Healthcare Institute, and they provided CNA training for parents of students in the Dougherty County School System, with the idea once they complete the program, they get the credentials, they'll be able to get a job, paying a livable wage with benefits, and make an immediate impact on their families. And we're proud to say that we graduated our first cohort last Saturday, I think it was. There was a completion program. 5 parents of DCSS students completed the CNA program through Integrity Healthcare Institute, and so we're pleased of that. We're waiting for them to pass their boards and get employment. And this is just the first initiative, and we're looking forward to working with Albany Tech and continuing our work with Integrity Healthcare to provide training not only in the CNA pathways, but also other high-demand career pathways that once they complete the pathways and get the credentials, they'll be marketable in a career field that's in high demand. So again, trying to make an impact on the lives of not only the students, but the families as well, because that also makes an impact on the students. And I thank the board again for its vision in supporting these initiatives and funding these initiatives. Also, the year ahead, as we look at family community engagement, we're looking at credentialing our frontline employees, our public-facing employees to the American Association of School Customer Service, and our reintroduction of the Volunteer Instructional Leadership Learning Academy, VILA, is an initiative of the Georgia School Boards Association, because we want to get the community engaged in the operation of the school system. And why is that? Leadership matters. I want to talk about this for a minute, if you don't mind. It's easy to be in a job and stay busy and focus on your job, and you can stay busy all day doing that. I have challenged our employees to not only lead in the Dougherty County School System, but lead in the community and across the state. And we've had several employees who have leadership roles outside of the Dougherty County School System, in the community and throughout the state, and in some cases national leadership roles, and have an impact on policy, on laws, on perception, and leveraging those resources to develop partnerships with organizations that can benefit the school system our students, their families, and make an impact. And I just want to highlight a few of those. Cheryl Smith, she's our associate superintendent for academic services. She serves on the United Way, the Southwest Georgia Board of Directors. Ms. Davis, associate superintendent for district effectiveness. He's on the Champions Communities and Schools Board, ASU Foundation Board of Trustees, and the Albany Downtown Development Authority Board. He's also a member of the Leadership Albany Class of 2023. Chris Hatcher, who's our CEO of our College and Career Academy, he serves as chair of the Dougherty County Board of Economic, Albany Dougherty Economic Development Commission, co-chair of Albany Dougherty Works. He serves on the Chamber of Commerce as an Albany Rotary. He's a member of South Georgia Lee's initial cohort, and he serves as chair of the Georgia College and Career Academy Network, which is a statewide organization. And I'll talk about why this matters a little later. Dr. LaShonda Flanders is the current president of GACES, the Georgia Association of Curricular and Instructional Supervisors. She's on the COGNIA, our accrediting agencies advisory committee, and she's a recent selection for the Georgia Partnership for Excellence in Education's Policy Fellowship Program. Heather Corbett, our most recent new hire, our director of CCAE, she serves on the Chamber's Talent, Education, and Leadership Committee, and she's also a recent appointee of the Governor's Literacy Council, which came about as a result of legislation that was enacted this past session. So she serves on that Literacy Council. Jill Alston serves as on the Planning Committee for the Georgia Association of School Personnel Administrators. Lakeisha Bruce serves on the Program Development Committee for the National Association of Education Foundations. Also, INSPRA, the National School Public Relations Association Volunteer Committee. She serves on the Leadership Albany Program Committee, Albany Chamber of Commerce Government Affairs Committee, and she's on the Board of Directors for Girl Scouts in Historic Georgia. J.D. Sumner is on the Board of Directors for the Georgia School Public Relations Association, Keep Albany Beautiful Board of Directors, the Dougherty County Board of Health. He's on the Chamber's Talent, Education, and Leadership Committee. And then I have the pleasure of serving on the Albany Tech Board of Directors. I'll be serving as chair this year. Boys and Girls Club of Albany Board of Directors, the Finance Committee. Governor Kim selected me, and it's my 5th year serving as on the Superintendent's Advisory Committee, on the Charter System Foundation Board of Directors, Georgia Risk Management Fund Board of Trustees, Teachers Retirement System Georgia Board of Trustees, Georgia Appalachian Center for Law and Justice, and that some of those are self-explanatory. This one is not so much. The Georgia Appalachian Center for Law and Justice focuses on a few things. One is fair housing, which is not really what I joined for. Another is focusing on school-based mental health, which is in our wheelhouse, but also the school-to-prison pipeline, and ensuring that discipline policies and practices in school systems are not slanted or tilted against our young people, particularly in metro areas. A lot of times when students get in trouble, they go through tribunals. They don't have adequate representation. So this organization provides pro bono services for those students. But before I joined as the first educator to ever be on the board, it was all lawyers, and they looked at it from one perspective. Every school system is slanted against the students, and so I was able to provide a voice, provide a little balance to that discussion. And I think we've done some good work there. I am about to rotate off that board because of the other boards I've known since that. They had identified a superintendent who is one of the 51 superintendents who are no longer superintendents in that district this year. 51 changes in superintendencies over the last 12 months. So this person is no longer superintendent. So I agreed to stay on until they had selected another superintendent to serve on that role. I don't think they need to meet without an educator being being present. So that's why that board is important to me. And then the Georgia School Superintendent's Board of Directors, and most recently appointed to serve as on the governing board for the National Superintendents Association, AASA. And so these are some of the employees of the Dougherty County Schools who serve in leadership roles, not only in the school system, but in our community, in our state, and in our country. And that matters because this advocacy works. With our Hope Career Grant, with the change to dual enrollment laws in 2020, it put a 30-hour cap on dual enrollment hours for students. And it also said you had to have dual enrollment hours taken before you can access any hope that you were eligible for. And that was in direct conflict with the initiative that we had with Phoebe Putney through our student CNA program pathway. Because initially, you had to take your dual enrollment credit hours first and then access Hope Career Grant. If you took the Hope Career Grant courses, they would still count against your dual enrollment credits. But a lot of parents they wanted their children to go to 4-year school would not let them take the career grant courses because they would eat up their dual enrollment hours. So they would delay that. So Chris, serving in his various roles, I've serving in my roles with the state and the governor's superintendent's advisory council, brought this to their attention. And of course, Scott, with Phoebe Putney, used his avenues, and we were able to get the Hope Career Grant Access Bill passed, Senate Bill 86 passed this year. That gave us a 3-year wonder, a 3-year sunset that now allows students to take the Hope Career Grant Access courses before the dual enrollment courses and use Hope funds and not eat up their dual enrollment courses. So now they can take the CNA courses in their sophomore and junior year, and then they can do a 1-year paid internship, part-time at Phoebe or any healthcare institution that participates as CNAs. And this is a foundation for students that want to go into nursing. So this is a direct result of advocacy that our employees have been able to do in their roles. Also, the Senate Resolution 175 created a joint study committee on dual enrollment early entry for those talented school system students who want to participate in dual enrollment early. They're going to have 4 sessions throughout the year on that. The first session is going to be held in Dougherty County because we're one of the ones that pushed for this consideration. It'll be held on August 9th at College and Career Academy. We have another one in Noonan, Georgia, I think in September or October. Then we have 2 in Atlanta. But that's a direct result of advocacy from the people that work with our students every day to try to make a difference. And it's not just about doing it in the classroom, it's about creating, influencing policy and legislation that impacts public education in this country, particularly in Georgia and specifically in Dougherty County. The House Bill 385, the Return to Work Bill, that impacts has the potential to impact the teacher shortage by allowing retirees to come to work full-time. Pre-K expansion, as you know, we alluded to earlier, 6 years worth of advocacy and knowing that a lot of our students, over half of our students who are children in Dougherty County who are eligible for pre-K services don't get because of a lack of availability of spaces. So we've been advocating for it. I see a member of our community out here who has been pushing for that for a while as well, and we finally made that happen this year. And as pre-K is not expanding across the state, it's expanding in Dougherty County, and we really appreciate that opportunity. Increased the QE funding for school counselors. As you know, the mental health crisis among our students is higher than ever, and that's just not Dougherty County or the state, that's nationwide, as we've seen in several presentations that we've had throughout the last year. But Governor included increased funding in QE for school counselors, also school safety grants provided by the state, and then some national legislation, or not legislation, but regulations. E-rate, that's a program that some of you may be familiar with that provides us with funding to increase our network connectivity. But it never allowed us to provide for hotspots for our students. We've been advocating for years regarding the need for Wi-Fi or internet at home for our students. When we were in school, we had paper and pencil. That was a necessity. Now, if we're going to do more work-based or more learning on the computers, access to the web is essential for doing research and for accessing our programs. But a lot of students, when we did our last survey, about 40% didn't have access to reliable internet at home. A lot of them had access through a mobile phone. And when the mobile phone was gone, then the internet was gone. So I'm happy to say that this year, E-rate will now allow us to fund hotspots for students. And again, that's been long in the making. But we started that conversation when I was on the second floor, over 6 years ago, and so constant communications, constant dialogue with legislators, with federal regulators, with department heads in the federal government. They have seen fit now to provide E-rate funding that supports Wi-Fi hotspots for our students at home. So that's going to be a game changer. As you know, we provided that over the last several years through emergency connectivity funding and through ESSA funding. That funding is running out, and now this funding will be able to replace that funding and provide that critical resource for our students to support academic achievement. It will start next school year. Yeah. Yes. You mean the 9 and 10? It depends. That they have different categories now. So you have category 1 is 9 and 10. You have some that's 80 and 20. Terrence, did I get that right? They're split. 9 and 10. Yeah, 85, 15, and 9 and 10. Prior to one project. I haven't looked at that yet. Have you looked at that yet, Terrence? I think it'll be 85, 15 because it's not direct infrastructure in our schools. So it'll be 85, 15 prior to 2 projects. It'll start next school year. We have this school year. We have this school year covered. Next school year. Yeah, we should have to apply for it. Yes. Next, are any questions about that? I know it's longer than usual report. I apologize for that, but I want to make sure we got an update on everything we have going on.
Question. Yeah, I just want to make have a question regarding the slide on investment in human capital. To me, that's a lot of money, and all of this has been done without increasing the taxpayers' taxes. And I've never voted for a tax in my life. Don't plan to vote for one, but this is remarkable. And I just wanted to say to you and the board members and the staff, especially the ones in the finance area, it's remarkable. All of this has been done, no layoffs, increases in trying to retain good people. And I just wanted to commend you and the board for that. Thank you.
Our finance committee for its leadership, and of course our finance committee chair, who has made it known he had never voted for a tax increase and didn't intend to vote for a tax increase, and which we don't intend to propose a tax increase. We want to make sure we operate within our means. And speaking of that, that was a good segue into the next topic. I think I mentioned earlier that it's a little late coming from the tax department, and they're challenged with personnel issues as well. But our 5-year history for our millage rate is here, and of course you know they calculate a rollback rate, and this year the rollback rate they calculate is 17.993%, which is a reduction from last year. And as you, this would be the 5th rollback reduction in the millage rate in 5 years, and 6 and 7 years, I think. And also, if the board moves forward with the recommended rate, which is highlighted there, this will be the first time since 2002 that the millage rate has been under 18 meals. And if you look at our financial statement, our financial report, you'll see that we're projecting to have a fund balance at the end of FY23. The preliminary fund balance is $38.5 million. So even with rolling back the millage rate, even with expanding the resources that we provide for our students and our employees, we're able to build a reserve. And I think Ms. Hatcher and her team, and of course the board for its leadership in making that happen. And I am proposing that we allow that the rollback millage rate become effective, and that we can advertise. We advertise that. We have to advertise for a week, and we can act on it county commission to make it official. Any questions regarding that? Any objection to the rollback rate? Thank you very much. Ms. Hatcher? All right. Move forward with advertising that. But then we talked about policy proposals earlier, so I had them in my presentation in case you wanted to go over those at all. If not, then Madam Chair, there's a few announcements. First, you'll see our school nutrition new buses. We want to not just have the typical white van that drives around, and we want to promote healthy choices. I see another member of the community out here that we've talked about that for a while with hydroponics stations and stands in our schools, and awarding those to some of our families. But this is one of our new school nutrition buses or vans, vehicles that's been wrapped and branded, making healthy choices that last a lifetime. That's the theme. You see that? You might have better read that banner, that banner with the burgundy writing, but that's what it says: making healthy choices that last a lifetime. And so we want to promote healthy choices in terms of dietary choices and lifestyle choices in general. So those will be delivered shortly, and you'll see them around town in various activities promoting healthy lifestyle choices. I know Miss Poole saw this. She asked could the young lady donate part of that to the paper and pencils for the city rec department. I told her she couldn't, but Miss Fordham, as you know, we participated with Ed Farm, and she was a teacher fellow in the Ed Farm Teacher Fellows program that helps infuse technology into instruction, and leveraging the resources that we have through our Apple partnership. And at the Future Learning Summit in Birmingham, the school system was won a $10,000 makeover. It's a classroom makeover. So what Michelle Sizemore, you see her on the side, she's our science, secondary science coordinator. She had a competition of teachers in the school system to present video applications, and to award the $10,000 classroom makeover to the successful teacher. The entries were so difficult, she didn't want to make the decision. So she forwarded it to the Air Farm group, and they have a group that worked with us, and so they were split. They had 4 people on their group. They were split 2-2, and so they had to bring in the outside another team from Air Farm to make it see. That's how difficult it was. But Miss Fordham won the $10,000 makeover, and so she is going to make over her classroom with some of the latest technology and resources available to promote innovation and creativity for our students, and we're excited for her, and we look forward to seeing that classroom once it's fully in place. She's a teacher at America's Middle School. Next, the National Procurement Institute is the leading institute recognized as the premier institute for government procurement in the country, and I'm proud to say that our logistical services department has been recognized with the Achievement of Excellence in Procurement award that's nationally recognized as a premier award in public procurement, and so they've been designated as that. They'll get their award at a conference that'll be later this year. But operational excellence is one of our goals, and I want to thank Ms. Sharonda Thompson. And once they get the award in hand, we'll have them come to the board and present it. And Ms. Hatcher, also for her leadership, that's one of the areas that report to Ms. Hatcher. So we want to thank them and congratulate them on that achievement. Tomorrow, I know you've gotten invitations already from Ms. Bruce, the 3rd annual tailgate, and people think it's a party. But our board knows, as well as anyone that's been in our meetings, they know that after the onslaught of the pandemic, typically we used to have a convocation. Everybody's in the gym for 3 or 4 hours, the speakers, the people rah-rah. We had some uneasiness about that on the heels of the pandemic, about sitting in an enclosed space for 2 or 3 hours. And so we decided, but we also knew that we had not gotten together as a BCSS family as a whole in 18 months. And so we decided to get together in an outdoor environment to provide opportunity to fellowship and re-engage with our employees. and also and a little friendly competition. No, it never helps. Never hurts. It never hurts. But it was well received. So we started making that an annual event. For the first year, it was overcast. It wasn't that hot. Last year was kind of warm. This year it's going to be even warmer. So we got to rethink this this format. But it's part of the overall the investment in social and emotional wellness for our employees. Stress levels have been high. As you know, the RAND survey talked about the depression symptoms 3 times as likely with teachers and educators as a typical employee, the generic employee. And this is the way one of the moments that we try to create through our DCSS Moments Initiative. You create opportunities for our employees to get together in fellowship, to let their hair down a little bit. Not just a part, but a strategic initiative that gives them an opportunity to unwind and fellowship, and also it serves as an employee appreciation event to let them know that we care about them more than just as an employee, but as people. We hope that they enjoy that. And I think they have the last 2 years. We think they will again this year. So tomorrow, and we'll have the tents being set up as we speak, and we'll certainly enjoy another time fellowshipping with our DCSS family members tomorrow. Last couple of announcements, summer graduation is scheduled for August 6th at 3 p.m. at the Auburn Municipal Auditorium. You'll get an email about that shortly. Then the State of the Community Luncheon is an annual event. We have a table for that. Board members, please let Ms. Sanders, you'll see your email, let Ms. Sanders or Ms. Johnson know you will be attending, and then we'll have a table for you at that event. Ms. Dr. Corbett, it's going to be about workforce, and Dr. Corbett will be on the panel. Unfortunately, I won't be able to be there. I'll have a teaching conference at the board meeting, but Dr. Corbett will represent us very well, and she'll talk about the importance of aligning education with industry, and to make sure that we best use the opportunities that exist in our community. Any comments or questions on any of those? I know it's a lengthy report, longer than usual, but I want to make sure we provide that information as we get ready to springboard into the new school year. If not, then that's all I have, ma'am, and we can give the board, once we go into executive session, we can discuss personnel we can. If not, it's the board's pleasure.
I don't anticipate any action. Now, was there something for student, or is it just personnel? Just personnel.
We have an addendum. Do you have a personnel addendum? Well, we have a personnel addendum that we typically have to discuss in the executive session. We can discuss it now if you don't want to take action after the executive session. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I want to come into Mr. Dyer. I've seen that old Highland School have been torn down, and it really looks good out there. Grass is coming up, so I want to commend you for that. Yes, sir.
That's I feel the picture that that's been a long time coming.
Right, it has.
Typically, we discuss in the executive session. We talk about the highlights. Most of these are hires that impact the beginning of the school year, and the only leadership issue on this is we're recommending change the status certified. Ms. Dr. McQuillan Griswold, going from federal program specialist to the director of family and community engagement. Ms. Lashana Jones resigned in the month of May, and we're looking at having Ms. Dr. Griswold, who served in a family and community engagement role for years prior to as a federal program specialist, served as the new director of family and community engagement. That's the only leadership recommendation that is on the agenda.
That's what I was gonna propose.
I'm recommending this, add this to, 8. Okay.
Now prepare to enter our regular board meeting. Do executive session after that since we don't anticipate taking any action. Okay, everyone stand for a minute. Right. Welcome to our regular board meeting. At this time, can I get a motion to approve the minutes? What's that? The agenda. Sorry, y'all. Sorry.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Could I get a motion to approve the minutes from the mid-month board meeting held June 29th?
So move. Pool.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passes. At this time, let's, can I get a motion for a consent agenda, again with the addition of item 2A. So it'll be items 2 through 6 with the addition of 2A.
So move. Pool.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion passes. At this time, can I get a motion for executive session to discuss personnel?
Madam Chair, I move that we move into executive session.
Second motion.
Matters and personnel.
It's just personnel.
Okay.
I did initially say student matters, but it's just personnel. All in favor?
Aye.
Right, the motion passes. We are now in executive session. Welcome back, and I think at this time we're ready to, I'm ready to entertain a motion to end our meeting, but real quick, there was a comment about whether we had asked for approval of item 7, and we did not because there was no action to come out of that. It was just for information. So, okay, at this time I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. All in favor? Any opposed? We are now adjourned.